Welcome to Reflections, Monday's short-form studio feature ahead of Friday's Photo Walk podcast. Thoughtful observations on creativity and, well, just life, really. You'll find all 5 of this week's reflections on our Patreon channel, The Extra Mile. Caravans and cameras. It's actually a very succinct thought today. Not quite blink and you'll miss, but all the same, trust me, somehow I will weave this story back around to creativity and photography. It's a challenge I've accepted. The story, by the way, if you're interested in how these things come to pass, has been inspired by a picture I saw from Michael Hammonds. He'd photographed a classic Ford Cortina broken down at the side of a British roadside, coupled to what looks like a 2, perhaps 3 berth at a push, faded white caravan. Most of my reflections start with a title, then I go away to try and make it come alive with words. But sometimes they start with a picture. One I've made, or one perhaps I've seen. The car in the picture is an N registration car, which is relevant in the UK because I believe that N was the suffix in the famous drought year of 1976. If it isn't, go with me on this. Why let the facts get in the way of a story after all? We went camping and then caravanning that summer. I do remember that. And I also remember, I think, spotting new registration cars on the way to Newgale in Wales from Bengio in Hertfordshire that had the letter N. See, kids, we didn't need iPads. We just got stupidly excited about spotting new registration cars on the 1st of August. You need to get out more, Neil. I do believe I was. I was in a car. I have to say, I think I was quite good at the game. Or Mum and Dad just let me win. Probably the latter. I'm well aware I may upset those who like to caravan. And I guess the fact that I would like a camper is not really a million miles away from a caravan. It's really just a caravan with an engine. And in my neck of the woods, a chance for a salesman to pop an extra 0 after the price. But let me be clear, I don't really get caravans. I do get that they are rather less leaky than a tent, and that some come with reasonably fine home comforts, but that's where it ends. I mean, to me, they have all the heat efficiency of a portcullis and the wind resistance of a garden shed in a gale. Even in the warm drought year of 76, I hope I've got that year right, I distinctly remember having to wear a woolly jumper in bed. And this is in the summer, in August, when we used to have summers in August. One brief family holiday in the caravan was enough to confirm my suspicions about caravanning not being a whole bunch of fun. We parked, apparently, in someone's pitch, an invisible rule of caravan club etiquette that I still don't fully grasp. I mean, why don't you just say, could you possibly move to that one over there, instead of just remaining grumpy behind the doors and the windows of your own caravan and waiting to seek revenge? And I'll tell you what that revenge was. The next morning, as the dawn light seeped in through our paper-thin curtains, a sound erupted above us, 1,000 screeching gulls performing some kind of airborne punk concert. Turned out our neighbours had sprinkled breadcrumbs across our roof in the night. It's the Jolly Japes played on newbies who don't get the rules. Within minutes of first light, we were under siege. Gull droppings decorated the barbecue table like avant-garde meringues. It was a symphony of chaos. Peck, 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 peck. All I could think was, people choose to do this, Dad, for fun? So caravans, I've since decided, are the perfect metaphor for overpacking. They're heavy, slow, and make you believe you've brought freedom with you, when in fact you've only brought a mobile version of home. Curtains, kettles, complaints and all. Which brings me neatly to cameras. I told you we'd get there. How I'll bring this full circle I still haven't decided though, and if you are a caravan fan, please treat this with the tongue-in-cheek that it's supposed to be received with. As I travel across America, which is what I'm hopefully doing today, I've made a deliberate choice to go without my metaphorical caravan. I've left behind the vast digital caravan park of lenses and bodies and tripods and gimbals and cables that I've convinced myself I need. This trip is an experiment in minimalism. I guess really my trip to India and Africa, West Africa, the year before was the same. A Fujifilm X100V, perhaps a film camera. And this time an iPhone 17 Pro, because as Sean Tucker insisted a couple of weekends back over a plate of spaghetti bolognese that he masterfully managed not to spill on his pressed shirt, you really can make something beautiful without a bag the size of a small child. Sean, by the way, is the only person I know to have ever gotten away scot-free without a bolognese disaster. Not even the slightest spitter-spatter. I mean, he must have gone to classes for that. It's not easy returning to photography, this is, of course. The lure of gear caravan is strong. We live in an age where if you turn up to a photography meet without the new Canon Hyperquantum 9000 Light Dominator or the Sony Insta-Vista Mark 8++, someone will quietly look at your camera and say, "Oh, bless. Vintage, get you." There's this odd pressure that unless your camera has more computing power than the Apollo missions, you've no right to call yourself a photographer. And yet the irony is, most of the photographers who made timeless work travelled lighter than a pigeon with a purpose. The brilliant photojournalist and portrait photographer to the stars, Jane Bowen, turned up to assignments with an Olympus OM1 in a shopping bag. Cartier-Bresson's Leica was practically an extension of his wrist. Sebastião Salgado lugged kit through the Amazon, yes, but his power was in patience, not pixels. The right kit, I've learned, is the one that lets you move. It's the camera you don't mind getting rained on, the one you'll sling over your shoulder without thought. If a camera becomes too precious to risk, it's probably too heavy a companion. Genre doesn't change that truth. Portrait, landscape, street, each demands attentiveness, not excess, although I do know some genres do require a tad more kit. The wildlife shooter might need a long lens, the studio photographer might need their light domes and stands, but the spirit's essentially the same. You work best when the tools vanish into instinct. And that's what I'm hoping for. Because prior to the trip, I'd had all these plans for this camera, this light, that light stand, and so on and so forth. But somewhere between the desert dust and the diner coffee of America, I'm travelling without the clutter, to see without the caravan hitched behind me. Because whether it's a camera bag or a mobile home, the more you bring, the less you notice. Does anyone have a scraper, by the way, for my barbecue table?